Hello everyone, welcome to another Tuesday Night Live at 7:45 with Teresa Harper, your independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. We'll go ahead and wait and see who jumps on here. And go ahead and let me know when you get on. And say hello, tell me where you're from. Hope everyone had a good weekend. All right, there, I've got the live chat up, so now I can see. Hello, Cynthia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, Mary. Hello, Jennifer. So nice of you guys to join me. It's always nice when you have someone there who you know is watching, so you aren't just sitting and talking to yourself. Hope you like tonight's projects. I pulled from the annual catalog. There is the Inspired Thoughts bundle, and what that consists of is the Inspired Thoughts stamp set. This is 11 cling stamps that are all sentiments, and they cover multiple occasions. So it's a good all-around stamp set, and you can purchase together in a bundle with the Inspiring Canopy dies. And if you get those together, excuse me, you can save 10% on both items. So, of course, you're more than welcome to purchase them separately, but if you purchase in a bundle, you do save the 10%. All right. So you will find those on page 52 of the catalog, and this is where it tells you that you have the bundle price right here. Let me go ahead and move this camera down just a bit. There we go. That'll be a little bit better, I think, a little easier for me. All right. Thank you for sharing, Jennifer. I appreciate that. Okay, for our first card, we will also be using the Seasons of Fun. I used this for a make and take last month, and we are going to use it tonight to make our first card, and we're going to be using this adorable little costumed Halloween girl. Okay? So let's set those aside. I do have a couple of housekeeping notes, things to inform you of. The first one is that there has been a new kit, or there will be a new kit added at midnight tonight for the Love Santa Tag Kit. And this is what it looks like. Hopefully you can see that. I did put that out on my business page as well as I sent out an email today. So be sure and check that out. It's $19 in the US, and I shared a video on this. Okay, so in addition to that, also at midnight tonight, there will be a clearance rack refresh. Now, what that means is that Stampin' Up! Will add new items to the clearance rack, and they discount them up to 60%. Items are while supplies last, and you will need to jump on those if you are interested in any of those. Because once they're gone, they're gone. All right, so for our first card, we're going to use a bunch of blends to color our little girl. So I will tell you, I have already colored her to save us some time. So I will tell you how I colored her. So for the pumpkins and her hat, I used light pumpkin pie, dark pumpkin pie, and I also used dark pale papaya. I'm not sure where I put that blend. Oh, it's still in the box. Okay, so these three colors for the pumpkins. And I showed you on the mystery, or I used this same combination on the mystery card event on Saturday for my pumpkins. Okay, so for the greenery around her neck, I used light and dark old olive. Blackberry Bliss I actually used on a different girl. For this one, this particular one, I used the Stampin' Up markers in Cherry Cobbler and Mary Merlot. But if you don't want to do the Stampin' Up markers, or you don't have them and you have the Blackberry Bliss combo, I did use the Blackberry Bliss combo on another girl for the sample. And then her hair is done with light and dark cinnamon cider. Skin is light and dark petal pink. Dark soft suede for the little stem on her cap. And then light and dark smoky slate for her skates. So there we have our little girl. And we will move all these out of our way. The ink pads that we're going to be using tonight, there are quite a few. We'll be using Early Espresso, Just Jade, Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, and then Night of Navy, Misty Moonlight, and Balmy Blue. Okay, and I'm going to get those in the order in which we'll be using those, because we are going to start with some ink blending. Excuse me. For your card base, you will need a piece of Early Espresso that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then I cut a piece of Early Espresso that is 1/16 shorter than 4 1/4 by 5.5. Okay, so I wanted it to basically cover the front of our card and just leave the barest of borders. I have run this piece through the Bark 3D embossing folder. You're not going to really see a lot of texture around our card layer, so you could skip this, but I kind of liked the way it looked, so we'll need those pieces. Then we're going to need a piece of the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. Let me grab that real quick because I forgot to grab our sample. So Beauty of the Earth 12 by 12 Designer Series paper. Looks like this, and we will be using this pattern. Okay. And then you're going to need a 1/4 sheet of Early Espresso, which I thought I had caught, and maybe I left it over there. But we are going to use, you need a full 1/4 sheet, and we're going to do some die cutting with that. So let me grab the die cut machine, and we will get that cut. All right. Now let's see where I set those dies. going to be using the large tree die from the Inspiring Canopy dies. And we're going to put that on a 1/4 sheet of cardstock, making sure that our die fits completely through. And I'm going to put that at a little bit of an angle so that it goes through our machine better without such a clunk. So we're going to run that through once. And then, without moving that, of course it wants to be finicky, I'm going to flip that over. And I'm going to run it through again. And what that does is put the pressure on the die and pushes it to cut, and you will get a better cut. So now, if you can see, it has cut very nicely. All right, so let's move this out of our way. And then I am just going to give this a snap. And that is going to bring out almost all of our hanging chads. Okay. And then I can put that away. And we'll get all those little pieces out of our way. All right. And then we just have a few of those left. You can see how well that cut by flipping it upside down. Okay, there we go. Now this piece is ready for our card. Okay, so let's grab, oh my goodness, I thought I had all of this stuff. What did I do with all that stuff? That's crazy. Okay, you also need a piece of Berry Vanilla. Apparently I put all the cardstock back in the container instead of in the envelope. Okay, so this needs to be, I don't think this will fit. I think you have to have the full, yep, I do, for some reason. All right. Oh my goodness. Maybe I used all my pieces that I had cut for this for the second project. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out 4 by 5 1/4. All right. Sorry about that. Should have had that ready. Actually, I thought I did. Okay, so now we'll fit on our cardstock. Yay. Okay. Now I'm going to take a 4 by 6 Post-it note, and I'm going to put this here, and I am going to mask this off at 2 1/4. And really, it's easier to do if I do it this way. Put it at the 2, or yeah, I'm going to mask it at 2 1/4. 2 1/4. All right. And this, and then we're going to do some ink blending. And I'm going to start with Balmy Blue. And I'm going to get a rag for my lap. And then I'm going to ink this up. And I want to take off the beginning of that. And I am not trying to be precise by any means here. I'm just rubbing on some color. It's okay that I have blank spots. Then I'm going to move to Misty Moonlight. And I'm going to repeat that process. Okay. And in between colors, I'm rubbing on my cloth on my lap. You don't have to do that because you are going from light to dark, but I am going to go back to light. So that is why I am rubbing off between. Okay, so now I'm at my Night of Navy. And then I've got that darkness in there, and I want to brighten that up just a little bit. So I'm going to clean off my brush on my towel. And then I'm going to go back to the Balmy Blue. And I'm going to brighten that up with a little bit of Balmy Blue. All right, so I'm happy with that. And I can set those aside. And I can remove my mask and turn it around. And then I'm going to mask off, and I'm going to leave just a little bit of the blue showing. So that I can kind of blend those two edges together. Okay. I'm going to switch to my green brush. And I am going to use Just Jade to start. And again, I'm not trying to be precise. And I'm going to clean my brush and move to Old Olive. Swirl a little bit of that in. And then I'm moving to Mossy Meadow. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Laura. And I'm going to put just a bit of the Mossy Meadow in there. I don't want it to overpower my other colors, and Mossy Meadow is quite dark. Okay, now if I want to brighten that up, which I don't think I want to at this point, I'm really happy with that color. So I'm going to leave that as is. And I'm going to remove my mask. And here is our scenery. All right. This is what we have to work with. Then we're going to take our tree line here, and because I did that at 2 1/4, you can see how my trees are going to line up pretty much on the horizon line. So then I can go ahead and add these trees to my scene. And I'm going to do that with a little bit of liquid glue. You could use your adhesive sheets, and that would be a good use of them. However, I did not want all of my top branches to be solid down. I want them to lift up a bit to give my tree a little bit of character. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here and there on the bigger parts of the trees, and I'm going to stay away from the very top. And remember, with liquid glue, if you can see it, it's enough. It sticks very well. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and set this right down at the bottom of my card, making sure that my trees stay on both edges. And there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn that upside down. And I am actually going to take my bone folder and give that a good press, just to really seal in that liquid glue. Okay. Now, from the Beauty of the Earth paper, you'll need a 3 by 6 inch piece. And then you need these leaf dies here. And you are just going to cut as many as you can get from this 3 inch by 6 inch piece. And I took and rotated them, stuck them in like that, ran it through. Well, actually I did cut side down because that would be the smart way to do it, right? It's not going to cut if it's cut side up. But go ahead and put those on and run it through. Pull them off, run it through again, and keep going until you have a pile of leaves just like this. Okay. Then we're going to take these leaves. Oh, there's a whole bunch more. I'm like, I know I cut a lot more than that. Okay, so here we go. And if we need more, we'll cut them. Okay, so I'm going to start with the bigger piles, which, by the way, you can use these either on the tops of the trees. You can use them as piles of leaves on the ground. They're very versatile. So we're going to take these, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue, and just a little bit, because these do have holes in them so that you can lift the leaves up if you so wish. And I'm going to start over here, and I'm just going to set that down. And then I'm going to set a block on top. And then I'll just keep adding my leaves until I'm happy with the arrangement. Now it looks like I might not have cut enough leaves, so we might be cutting some more here real quick. I wasn't quite sure how many I used on the sample card. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flip this upside down and come down here. It's the nice thing about these is there is no right or wrong way to put them on. And because we're using a designer series paper that doesn't have any directional pattern, we can just put them down willy-nilly. Anybody do anything really fun this weekend? I was down most of the weekend with a migraine. It started on Thursday. I got an ocular migraine, and then ordinarily I don't get a migraine for 2 or 3 days later, but it hit me within 5 minutes of the ocular migraine clearing. It was pretty nasty. Whoops. Stick that back down. I'm thinking I'm going to want a few more leaves. This is not looking full enough to me. So I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to grab the mini, because what I need to do can easily go through the mini machine. So we're going to put that down. I'm going to poke out those little spots. I'm going to grab those dies. Turn them the right direction, of course. I'm going to maximize my paper as best I can. I found if you put them in this arrangement on the 3x3 and you're real careful, they will go through without jumping into each other, and you will get more cuts from your dies. Now, because this is designer series paper, I only need to run it through one time. This one die of mine sticks every time. Okay, where is the 4? Oh, there it is, still on the sheet. Okay, there we go. So that will at least give us enough for the outside. Okay, set that aside. And then we can go ahead and add these. There we go. I'm much happier with that. Like I say, you just keep going until you are pleased with how it looks. Turn this one upside down, put it right there, and I am happy with that, and I can use those on the inside. All right. Okay, I just use my block to smoosh that in really nicely. Okay, so now we are ready to add this piece to our I need to trim this off a bit. Looks like I'm also going to need to trim this. I wasn't careful enough to make sure that I didn't go off the side. But you will be. All right, so there we are. And we're going to add this to our embossed piece, and then we'll put our embossed piece on the front of our card. And because this is a 3D embossing folder, I am going to use liquid glue to adhere this, hoping that it will grab in all those nooks and crannies. And then we'll add this to our card layer. And again, I'm going to turn that over and gently run my bone folder over that. All right. And then I'm going to fold the card base and burnish that score line with my bone folder so that my card will lay as flat as I can get it. And then I like to open it back up to put my layer on. And as you can tell, or maybe you can't tell, there is barely any room around the edge whatsoever from the card base. And again, I'm going to use liquid glue because I need this to stick with the 3D embossing. I'm about at the end of my glue bottle, it feels like. It doesn't seem like I started that glue bottle all that long ago either. Okay, so I'm just going to center that up as best as I can with it being such a tight squeeze. You won't even notice if I don't get it on there just perfect. And then I'm going to go around the edges, make sure that's on solid. And there we have our card base. All right. Now it is time to add our little girl, and we're going to add her in here. And we are going to do that with dimensionals. After I colored her, I had to hand cut her. There are no dies for her. And this is one of those funky dimensionals. So I'm going to put one on her head and one on her body. And then I am going to put a mini on her Halloween bucket, on her roller skate, and then I'm going to take the outside edge of the mini. I love these because they give you such a wide border. And I am just going to cut a little strip here. Now, if I didn't have these, and I could use the adhesive sheets, or I could cut some dimensionals in half. But I do have these, so I'm going to just cut that and put it right down here. Didn't get that release paper off. Okay, and then we're going to put her on here so she looks like she's roller skating right on the tree line or road. And then we can move to our sentiment. So on a scrap of basic white, I've taken the sentiment from Banner Year that says Happy Haunting. And I'm going to ink that in Early Espresso ink. And I'm going to gently set that down, very lightly give it a press, and then lift it up so that I don't, oh, and that did not work. It did. I don't want to smear it. So let's try that again. Almost looks like I have something on my stamp. That is good enough. All right, so we're going to take this, and I am going to hand cut this out. And I'm just going to move my paper and follow. My left hand is driving, while my right hand opens and closes the scissors. And there we have our sentiment. Okay. And we need some more dimensionals. And again, I'm going to take the bottom of my piece here, and I'm going to cut a strip to go along my sentiment. I'm going to add my sentiment. Right here. And finally, from the Baker's Twine Essentials pack, I've taken and tied a double bow of the crumb cake ribbon, or crumb cake baker's twine. This comes with crumb cake black, Sahara sand, very vanilla, and whisper white. And I'm going to roll up a glue dot, and I'm going to put that on the back of my twine bow. Well, if I can get it to stay on my twine bow. And then I'm going to set my bow right down here below my Happy Hunting sign. And then we'll trim up our ends. And that's the outside of our card base, of our card. Okay. So for the inside of the card, I took a piece of basic white and I stamped from Frightfully Cute, You're So Sweet It's Scary, and the spider, which is hanging from another one of those trees. Now let me show you. I took one of these trees, and actually I took the first tree because it's a little bit easier to do the first tree. And this one I didn't cut long enough, but I'll show you how I did it. I just went in and took the first tree on the right, followed the line of the branches, got my scissors in there and did a snip, followed this branch right here and snipped there. I'm going to snip here. That frees up the majority of the branch. Then I can snip right here, here, and here, and my tree is free. And then I just have to go back and trim off a few branches that are headed the wrong direction. Okay? But this one I cut too short, so. And then I took some more of those pieces and did my tree up, stamped my puppy dog from the Seasons of Fun, and there is my finished card. Okay, let's go ahead and leave that there. Oh, I did do an envelope. Well, I thought I did an envelope. Maybe I didn't for this one. Oh, bad me. No envelope for this. I thought I did that at the last minute. I know I did. What did I do with my envelope? I must be not have the right envelope. Okay, well, I'm not sure where it is, so let's move forward. Don't need to keep you waiting while I look for those items. We can move on to our next project, where we will again be doing some ink blending, but we're going to start with the Stamparatus this time. And we're going to grab the other bucket. All right. So let's get our piece of cardstock and let's make sure this is the right one. I've cut one of those tree pieces in black from the Inspiring Canopy dies. We have a, oh man, I just lost the inside of my card. Oh, nope, there it is. Okay. We have a navy blue card base. And this card actually uses quite a bit of Very Vanilla. We have one piece for the inside. One piece for our base layer. And then one piece for layering. So we have two pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4. And one piece that is just 1/8 of an inch bigger, so it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And this is our layering piece. Okay, so I'm going to start with our base. Oh, and this is photopolymer, so I need to grab my, I think this is the one I need, right there. Oh, this one. Okay, let me grab my Stampin' Mat. This is the Deluxe Stamping Mat for the Stamparatus. You do not have to have the Deluxe Stamping Mat. It will work perfectly fine with the mat that originally came with your Stamparatus. So I'm going to place my moon. Actually, this feels a little... I'm going to clean my moon so that I don't have a bunch of lint on it. Okay. And I'm going to place my moon where I want with my Stamparatus. And let's see. I want this about here. Oops. Okay, let's go with that. I'm going to pick it up with the lid of our Stamparatus. And I'm going to take some So Saffron ink. I'm going to stick my stamp case underneath so that I can be sure to ink it up well. And then I'm going to give that a good press. And the beauty of the Stamparatus is if I miss in the middle of my stamp, because this is a pretty solid image, which I didn't, then I can go back. Okay, so there is my moon. Okay, we can pull that out. Put a scrap piece in here so I don't get my plate all messed up. All right. Then we're going to mask off our moon. And I've done that. I've got a piece of Post-it note, which I hand cut. There is a circle die that will work with this if you're going to cut out the moon. However, it isn't the exact same size, so it doesn't work for masking. So I'm just going to put that in. Make sure I get it. Don't get it over. Otherwise I will have a halo. Okay, that looks good. I can see a little bit of moon around each little edge. Okay. So for this one, we're going to use, I don't have a, I'll just use this one. When you get your blending brushes, this is how they come. And I didn't have a purple blending brush yet, so we're gonna go ahead and pull one of those out. You get 3. This is going to be for my pinks and or my purples. Oh, actually, this is my purple. Oh, because I didn't have a pink thingy. Never mind. We're going to use this for our... We're going to start with Gorgeous Grape. Gorgeous Grape. Polished Pink. And we'll rub that off a little bit. And then I'm going to go pretty far down with my pink. And I'm going to hold on to that Post-it note because it doesn't completely, it doesn't have sticky on the whole thing. I'm going to put my pink in here, and I want to make sure that I go below my moon. Okay, so now that I've got my pink on, I'm going to move to my purple. And I'm going to use some Gorgeous Grape. And I'm going to go right over the top of my polished pink. I'm going to make sure that I get some darker spots of that purple showing. And I'm just going to, I want a little bit more purple in there, so let's go just a little bit more right in the center there. All right, so I'm happy with that. And then we're going to go to the, where did I put my Night of Navy? I put it in the other thing again, didn't I? Okay, I need those blues back. Only this time we're going to be using a little bit of Pacific Point. And again, I'm using the same brush. I'm going to put some Pacific Point in there. And I'm going to go where that Gorgeous Grape is. Put that in the sky. And I've got that. Then I'm going to go right to the Night of Navy. Trying to get a spooky kind of night sky here. Well, not really spooky, but more of a fall twilight. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, thanks guys. I'm glad you like that card. So now I'm going to take the Night of Navy and I'm going to concentrate my Night of Navy at the top because that's where the darkest part of the sky would be. Not really looking for a night sky, but a twilight sky. Okay. Now, I've kind of lost some of my purple. So I'm going to go back with my Gorgeous Grape. And I'm going to concentrate right here in the center, just to put a little bit more of that purple cast back in. All right, and I am pretty happy with that. Now let's pull off our mask and see what we think. There we go. There is our night sky. Okay. Okay. So to this now, we're going to add our black inspiring canopy die, like so. And that's going to let that moon shine right through the trees. And again, I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue, and I really don't want to get out a new bottle because if I do, it'll just flow everywhere I don't want it. So we're going to hope that this holds out. For what we need. Okay. And where did I put my silicone? Because I know it's funny how you can have it right here ready to go, and then when you need it, it's not there. Oh, that's the way it works on a live though. Okay, I need to make sure that I'm keeping my trees centered, and I see that I have a little chad there I don't want. And I'm going to put that down and get those trees lined up where I want them, and make sure that that's even on the bottom. And then we can snip off the edges. All right. Now we're ready for some stamping. Okay. So here was my dilemma. Because I used the Very Vanilla card base, got a little bit of excess glue on there I want to get off. I wasn't sure how to stamp my bear, and we are bringing in Joyful Life, and we are using the bear and bunny image here. So you guys are going to help me decide what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm going to grab a piece of Very Vanilla, and I'm going to stamp this. And then I'll show you how I colored him quickly. Okay. So we have light and dark daffodil, dark saffron, light flirty flamingo, light and dark crumb cake, light gray granite, and light misty moonlight. All right. And we're supposed to have light calypso coral. Okay. So for the neck of his sweater, I used the light calypso coral. And I just colored that in quickly. Oh, you can't see. Let me move my stuff here. Let me switch these out. There we are. For his sweater. Then for the base part, I used light so saffron, and I gave it a base color. And then I went back with the light Daffodil Delight, and mainly around the edges in the creases here and on that arm. Okay. Then I took the dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm just going to go along these little threads. of the sweater. Okay. And then I'm going to go back with my dark so saffron, and I'm going to blend that all together. Okay. Light Misty Moonlight is for the bicycle, and I found if I took the bullet tip and just barely touched the paper and swiped it down, I was able to stay inside those teeny tiny lines, barely touching the paper. Okay, and I did go over the seat and the guard and the handlebar with the Misty Moonlight. The light crumb cake is for the bunny. Okay. Or the light gray granite, I'm sorry. Light crumb cake is for the basket. And then I took the dark crumb cake and I drew across the lines and then just barely swiped down the lines, and I did not even blend that out. Okay, Flirty Flamingo in the bear's ears and the bunny's ears. All right, so that's how I colored him. Now, I really wanted my bear to be white. So I tried taking my, he has to be fussy cut, by the way. I tried taking on the Very Vanilla and coloring the bear using the white watercolor pencil. And this is what that looks like. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I certainly couldn't tell that that bear was white. Oops, got him too close. So I don't know if you can, but I really couldn't tell. Okay. So next, I stamped him in white, even though our base is Very Vanilla. And then I thought, okay, well, what if I stamp it in on Very Vanilla and stamp the bear on white and color and cut him? So this is what that looks like when that's all done. So let's get back our card base layer here. And I will put these on the card and you tell me which one I should use. White, vanilla, or the combo. So this one is the combo. This one is the white. And this one is the Very Vanilla. Tell me what you think. White, vanilla, or combo. And while you're doing that, I'm going to color in the bear and the bunny's ears on this one because it looks like I forgot it. And we just can't have that. Combo. Can't tell the difference. Okay, Jennifer, Cynthia, would you like to weigh in? And then okay, again, here's the combo. I guess in the picture you can kind of tell that looks a little white, can't you? Yeah. Okay, so we should use this one? Well, any one will work. And Jennifer says combo. All right, so we'll use the combo. And we're going to set that aside for a minute. And while we do that, well, actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and add this to our layer, which this one is obviously not. This must be the layer. Yes. We're going to add that to a card base in Very Vanilla. And because this is such a thin border, no, I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and use my Stampin' Seal. Just so I don't have to. But you know what I need to do? Is I need to trim just a tiny bit of black at the bottom. There we go. Okay. And then we'll just add this to the layer. And there we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and move some of these ink pads out of our way. We're going to do a little bit of embossing for the sentiment. I'm going to emboss white on the black. So that our sentiment stands out a bit. So I've taken my embossing buddy. If you don't have an embossing buddy, you can use a Swiffer jet thing or a dryer sheet, something that will take the static off your paper so that you don't have embossing powder where you don't want it. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up in Versamark. And Versamark is a sticky ink. It works great for this process. And I'm going to stamp this in the center of my scrap piece of basic black. And then I'm going to grab my white embossing powder. And this comes in the Basics collection of the embossing powders in the annual catalog. And I'm going to put that on and I'm going to give it a tap. And then I've got some embossing powder where I don't want it. I'm going to use my coffee filter to put my excess embossing powder back in, and I'm going to close that up before I have a disaster. And then you can see that I have some specks, or maybe you can't, where I don't want them. So I'm just going to take a paintbrush and I'm going to wipe those away as best as I can without messing up my embossing powder. Okay. All right, and I'm happy with that. Then I can take my Stampin' Heat tool, and I'm going to heat it up for about 30 seconds. The hotter that gets, the quicker the powder will melt. And then we're just going to heat that up. Just until it gets shiny. I don't want to overheat it, but I don't want to underheat it either. So you can see that. It says, friends like you make life a joy. We are ready to start putting all of these pieces together. So just like I did before, I had a very limited space here, so I decided that I would just go ahead and hand cut my sentiment. And remember, I'm driving with my left hand. Excuse me. I knew I should have grabbed a bottle of water. Talking dries out the back of my throat. All right, so here is our sentiment. And we're going to put that right there. And we're going to grab some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to put one on each wheel. And one at the bunny. And then one at his head. And I might take a mini and put right here on his foot. Okay. And I'm using the black dimensionals for this. No particular reason other than I need a both sizes, and with the black dimensionals, when you buy those, in the package comes with half mini and half regular, so you will always have the size that you need. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and again, I'm going to set this down so it looks like he's riding up the hill. Like so. Okay, and then I'm just going to add this flat. And I'm going to use liquid glue for that because it's easier when I don't have my silicone mat, which of course I will find buried as soon as I get off of here because that's the way it works, right? Okay, so we have that. And now we're ready to add this to our card base. A Knight of Navy, which has been scored at 4 1/4. And we're going to burnish that on the score line with our bone folder. Which if you don't have a bone folder, you really, really need one. It's a staple in my studio. And then I can add this to my card front. And this, again, is a very narrow border. I cut, again, my card base is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. The very vanilla piece, that's the layer, is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then this is 4 by 5 1/4. So you have a real narrow border. Oh my goodness. I am way over time tonight. Okay. So for the inside of this card, I've taken the stamp from Inspiring Thoughts, You Make a Difference Every Day, and I cut out that first tree again for the inside, and then here is our envelope. I just stamped the bear, colored a little bit of him, and then put the leaves from that Seasons of Fun, or the Joyful Life set that is also the bear on the flaps. Okay, so let's bring back in our projects for tonight before I sign off quickly. All right, there we are. Okay, now as a reminder, there will be a clearance rack refresh beginning at midnight, and that is Mountain Time. So for us, that should be 11 p.m. tonight. And the Santa, Love It Santa tag kit also goes live. All right, thanks everybody. So glad that you enjoyed those projects tonight. And I will see you back here next Tuesday, I hope, at 7:45 with another Facebook Live. Thank you. Good night. Have a good week.